Welcome back to This Week in Showdown. And what a week it was. I think we should start a countdown to figure out how many weeks I start out with. This is one of the wildest weeks in MLB recent history. We have figured out that this year's MLB season is actually going to be more like WWE's Royal Rumble, with people coming in and leaving and being eliminated, only to come back in later to potentially win the whole thing. So it's going to be wild. It is chaotic. Teams are not going to play anywhere close to the same amount of games, and I have been excited for it. I learned today that Lorenzo Cain opted out. For those of you who are wondering, yes, Lorenzo Cain is on my fantasy team, but he is now done for the season, as best we can assume, as people seem to opt out and come back in. I heard Nick Markakis may come back. The most interesting thing was Yoenis Cespedes. It has gone MIA, which is actually not news to me, because he'd been MIA for a while anyway, the last couple of seasons. But he actually just did not answer calls from the Mets team. Eventually, he has eventually come out and said that he has also opted out of the season. Not on my fantasy team. The Mets then traded for Showdown legend Billy Hamilton. Billy Hamilton being known for not being able to hit at all, but having 23 speed in most every version of his card, and having a crazy single plus because he is just a complete speedster. So more news, big names. So we're seeing Eric Hosmer, Tim Anderson, pair of relievers there from the Rockies, Chris Bryant, Roberto Osuna, also from my fantasy team, Joey Votto, who I just added to my fantasy team, all going to the injured list. So this is adding evidence for me that we are probably going to have plus 20 man rosters for this season, probably in the neighborhood of each team getting somewhere between 21 and 24 players, probably settling on 22. So people who are coming back with big names who I'm excited for. Kershaw, Strasburg, both starters. I'm very interested what they could do on, especially since they'll probably be on pitch counts. They're going to only get about 10 starts. We're going to see if they can put up good ERAs, high strikeouts, really do some even quirkier things than we are used to. Aroldis Chapman, my fantasy team, coming back from COVID, which he caught just after I decided to use him with my keeper pick. Again, another person who could have a crazy stat. He may not give up a run all year if he comes back and only pitches 40 games. They recently did pass the rule that they are going to have 7-inning pitch doubleheaders, which we are going to talk about here in a second, as well as more cancellations. Before I move on, I did want to apologize for the potato quality of the audio. My headphone jack apparently is not working now, but I wanted to get this out on time. Also, I am looking for someone to consistently co-host, hop on here with me, so I am not just talking to myself, though I do love the sound of my own voice, so this is not going to be the worst thing in the world for me. So I will just sit and talk into the void, and you guys can listen as I pontificate about different MLB happenings. So the 7-inning doubleheader, what does that mean? So first of all, even fewer 7-inning pitch starters. That was a trend we were seeing. Baseball was moving in that direction anyway. You were not seeing people get up into the high 200s, or well, no one was getting the high 200s innings pitch. No one was getting to 200 inning pitch, 210, not even close to the 240s, which we would see a guy approach every other year or so. People are not getting anywhere close to that recently, so the trend is going to skew even lower on innings pitched. So we're just going to see more relievers. Maybe we may need to do more 2-inning pitch relievers, and also more 4-inning pitch guys. So there's going to be an increase of doubleheaders because we're going to have the same random occurrence of weather. We assume we have to account for that. The weather is still random unless the Earth just decides to plot against us even further than it already has. But we're also going to have complications with scheduling, as we've seen, teams being canceled, teams just not being able to play for a week at a time. Are they going to have to play doubleheaders for a week straight? Who knows? So more opportunities for third of an inning pitch relievers and 4-inning pitch starters, like that great Chris Medling card I have. But here is the Johnny Cueto. Here's a great example here where you get a 6 control 4-inning pitch for 500 points, which is a great deal. and especially with a 1-16 out, that would be a custom chart normally. 500 points is a great deal. You're gonna have to pitch this guy tired. We're gonna see a lot of people like this year, I think, which is great because I think it gives more managerial decisions and puts more stress on the extra inning or the tired pitching rule. So that is a topic for discussion that we may bring up here in future weeks because there are a few options that I like. The 24-sided dice, the plus to swing and minus to innings pitch. So this doubleheader rule is going to change a lot of how these cards get made on an already going to be quirky year. So what the more cancellations mean, this week already we saw the Phillies, the Jays, the Nats, the Marlins, Cardinals, and Brewers. I believe I have a fantasy player on 3 of those teams, at least 3 of those teams, all had games postponed. I'm not bitter, guys, I promise. Mark, I hope you enjoyed my money. So, all have had games postponed. Then how are they going to fit them all back later? I have no idea, but a lot of doubleheaders is what I'm assuming. Question we have for Showdown. What happens if people play uneven number of games? We've already figured out that we have to multiply everyone's stats by that 2.7 number to prorate it. So my question is, what happens if people don't play the 60 games? What are we going to prorate to? Are we going to have to pick individual teams? If teams just get kicked out of the league entirely for the year, what does that mean? I am very curious how this plays out. That is, of course, if the season continues. But enough talking about the happenings around baseball, how they affect the cards. Let's see the people who are actually playing games, actually doing some damage. This person, I had filled out the slide before Sunday Night Baseball. So, Colin Moran. So, we all thought that he would be the leader in home runs going to finish the season. So, I had him already pegged in to be the big damage player of the week. He had 5 homers, 3 of them this week. So first and third base most likely is where he's going to end up at. Normally you need 10 games at either position, at any position to qualify. He already has, I believe, 3 at first base and 2 at third base, or they're switched. I'm going to guess the number to qualify now is going to be 5 this year. So cut that in half roughly, as opposed to dividing by 2.7, because that does not seem to make a lot of sense to me. So Colin's previous high in home run was 13 and 11 the year before that. He's already outpaced that with the pro rating. So great start to him. We'll see what kind of quirky guys might have crazy years with this short season. Is it crazy to think that he might finish the year with 12 home runs? And then, 12 home runs regular, and what would that be prorated? It would crush his average. But, as we talk about crush, we're going to talk about my hopes, my Red Sox being completely smashed by the Judge, Aaron Judge. So, I had already given Colin the player of the week. I had the slide set up. I was finishing watching the games, back and forth game, great Red Sox-Yankees game, only to find that Aaron Judge is a mutant. He is a video game player. Somebody decided to make a 6'9", 300-pound, just ball destroyer. That's Aaron Judge. Remember his 2016 season? He's in that elite tier. He's in that equivalent to 10, 16 to 20 tier because he had the 52 homers and 3 triples. He currently is the first person to have a home run on his chart as of tonight, hitting his 2nd home run, because 4th of the week, all 4 of which coming against my Red Sox, all 3 games leading to losses. So even if Judge gets an 11 on base, he will have at least a 20 homer if he doesn't homer ever again. But he's going to face the Red Sox, so pin him in for another 3 to 4 home runs against the Red Sox to get him up to 10, and whatever damage he can do to the rest of the league. So I think Judge has a chance to finish in the elite tier again. So get himself another 10, 16 to 20 card, maybe the 11, 17 to 20. Put him in that McGuire tier, guys with multiple big home run seasons. So good job, Aaron Judge. Also, Aaron Judge is on my rival, on the team I'm playing against, fantasy team, because I am out money right now. So I'll be filling out my charitable donation form. So looking at the home runs for the year. So Judge recently changed to get up to 6 home runs there. So he was up. Collin with the 5, as we went over. So for the 4 home runs, interesting thought here is that you have 2 in the outfield there, but then you have Trevor Story with 4 home runs, no other extra base hits, playing shortstop. Very interesting possibility for a card there. Christian Vasquez, who apparently my C in parentheses is now a copyright, so we have not copyrighted Christian Vasquez. He still owns the name, rights to his name and likeness. He is a catcher. How much is he going to be able to play? Is he going to be able to keep this pace? Or is he not going to play enough that he'll get even more of a prorated bonus? Always interesting. He's going to have a good arm. He's got a good arm there. And we got a lot of people lurking with 3 home runs already, which is going to be a good home run. This is going to be a powerful year. So, love that. Love that Nick Castellanos card over there. So, look at all those extra base hits. That's some big damage. So, over on the doubles, the other Wilson Contreras, also not copyrighted. I do not own the right to his name. He can keep his own name. But he is a catcher. So with 5 doubles, these are guys who are going to have extra base hits. So we did not see one from Turner, who had 4 coming into the week. He apparently didn't hit another double. Jose Iglesias, always a good glove man, always good with speed. So here is the opportunity for him to get another great. He has always got those great showdown cards, because for a guy who doesn't hit with a ton of pop, he always seems to get himself on base. He was batting 3rd for the Orioles, which I might be batting 3rd for the Orioles if I can keep myself healthy here. But we got some interesting options there with the big damage report. We are going to start looking at ERA and on base starting next week, but that was going to be so volatile, I did not see much of a use in doing that. So those will be things that we will bring up. Start tracking who's on pace for the 11s, who's on pace for the 10s. Also, who are the guys on pace for the top 10 in ERA custom cards. And I think we need to debate on whether or not we're going to have custom relievers and what we're going to be doing there. So those are topics for discussion going into next week. Trying to be more active on the Twitter. Send topics you would like to hear. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. Or don't. So I will be posting these weekly, trying to put a lot of interesting cards up there for you. So this has been your week in baseball.